Warning, the following episode of Boots on the Ground contains mature language. View at your own discretion.
Laurent, I'm gonna butcher his name, Kazadron.
WTF leader.
Yeah.
Cause
He's just like foaming at the mouth about this in our internal Skype chats all the time. Just like, no, I can't do a thing. He's like, fuck this shit, we're done. It's so bad whenever, he's trying to play anybody on a different continent.
Welcome to Boots on the Ground episode 13. I am your host, Gimbal B, and joining me today is DS the Drunk Heavy. How's it going, DS?
I'm good. Kind of drunk, but I'm good.
Cool. And to his right is Hans Jägerblitzen. How's it going?
Going good. Not drunk yet.
And making her first appearance on the show, it is oh shit, you can say it. I don't want to say it.
I'm Virgin Destroyer 7.
Cool. Kane was going to join us this week. I have no idea where he is, so he'll be back at some point, I guess. But
You can blame Dust and being down on Kane right now.
Yeah, I think Kane was in the Dust server when it went down. That's the only explanation I can think of. So yeah, we're just gonna do a quick four-man show tonight. I mean, it is the 13th show, so this is probably going to be bad, and we'll have loads of tech problems and people disconnect just because it's the 13th show. But yeah, first topic, I just want to get people, like E3 was this week, and I just want to get people's thoughts on, like, did you enjoy E3, what did you like, what didn't you like, that kind of thing. So I'll start with DS.
You went in just like the overall E3?
Overall
like,
E3.
PS3 Sony kicked the snot out of Microsoft. Like it was just brutal because I don't know, they played the whole community thing against Microsoft because they knew Microsoft's putting in all these restrictions on used games and always online and all this stuff. And their biggest attack, really, Sony's biggest attack was saying, okay, we don't have any of that. We're kind of like a free system. We're like America or whatever you want to say. But I don't understand what exactly Microsoft's doing because, I mean, I'm in the Army and I know like nobody in the military is going to buy PS4. Wow. Xbox One, because when you're deployed, you're going to want to play games. Because deployments now, especially since we're not really fighting, I'm just talking about from an American standpoint, we're not really fighting too many people, although now they're talking about Syria and all this crazy stuff going on. But most of the time it's support missions, and in support missions you sit around. You go to your work, it's basically like just going to work. You work your 10, 12-hour shift, and then you're off. And when you're off, it's not like you can go out anywhere. You just go back to your CHU, which is like your room, and play games and, hang out with people. So I think that totally just kind of made Microsoft... Do you hear my dog in the background?
I don't even know what you're talking about anymore. What are we talking about?
I'm talking about Microsoft.
E3.
Oh yeah, okay, E3.
Yeah.
Focus.
Yeah. Come on now. So yeah, military, all going PS4. Everybody I've talked to, period, even outside the military, they're going PS4 because all the restrictions and stuff. And as far as games go, Destiny looks sweet. The District looks amazing. What else looked good? There's a bunch of other games that look cool, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. I wasn't really thinking about E3. I was thinking more about Dust. So yeah, I think Sony totally won E3. Microsoft just kind of dug itself even deeper than they were already, before E3. So it looks good for us. Looks bad for them. So hopefully, it works out the way it looks like it's going to. And that's it.
Cool. By the District, did you mean the Division?
Did I say the District?
Yeah.
See, we were talking about PC earlier, and I was thinking about districts. Yeah, The Division. I meant The Division.
Yeah, that game looks like amazing.
And actually, when I was watching, I know a lot of other people that probably thought the same thing, but I thought that the people talking were like the actual characters talking, and I was wondering why are they so calm? They're getting shot at, but that was actually the multiplayer simulation.
Yeah. Hans, your thoughts?
Kingdom Hearts 3. Do I need to say anything more than that? No. I also, I think PS is going to be the dominant system right out from the starting point. I think Microsoft screwed the pooch on this one. I think, I'm a big RPG fan, so I'm like seriously excited for Kingdom Hearts and this new Final Fantasy, which looks amazing. But like more than anything, when I looked at all the E3 videos, I didn't like watch all of the long press releases live and all that stuff with popcorn and all that. But more than anything, there's just a lot of competition coming out. And when it comes to gaming competition, what we have to like remember is that anything is a competitor with Dust or any other game as long as it's more fun and takes up more people's time. And anything at any point could be more fun than the next thing, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in the same genre. But I think especially within shooters, you've got just an insane amount of new ones coming out there that are both online. Some are persistent. Some are just going to be better lobby shooters than Dust is too. And there's I looked at things like command mode for Battlefield 4 where you can have it on a tablet. Like that's the kind of innovation that I wish CCP was in charge of. And it's going to be a lot of work to catch up and hold people's interest in the coming months. And so pressure's on, and I think that's a good thing. I really do. I think that kind of reality and that kind of competition is going to be healthy for CCP as well, and hopefully it'll encourage them to refine their development process and start cranking out material more efficiently than they have been, and really bring Dust up to speed with what I think it can be.
Cool.
It's gonna be a fun winter. I know that much.
Yeah.
a lot of cool shit in the pipeline.
And VD, your thoughts?
Well, pretty much everything I really liked about it was already mentioned. The Division is amazing. Final Fantasy, been a fan forever. Played every one, so I'm really looking forward to that. And was there something in there too about how the PS4s are going to have, was it like YouTube or Twitch interaction or like some kind of camera recording
PS4
for when you're playing?
Is going to have YouTube, and you can do up to, I think it's 15 minutes long. You can record, and you can upload that to YouTube. And the other one is Ustream. Twitch is
Ustream.
Xbox.
I was going to say that's really going to change the way that people see us as gamers. I think it's gonna change the way that we do things. It's gonna influence a lot of things. There's so many people that already want to get out there and like record, and people are gonna really make a name for themselves doing it.
I think
I'm excited to see.
I think it's gonna make the YouTube community kind of diluted.
Yeah,
because
I mean, you're gonna see
this
that
is
too.
constantly gonna be just little 12-year-olds posting their cool quickscope videos that they get on Call of Duty constantly, and you're just going to see channel after channel after channel of just kind of useless just gameplays.
Yeah, but I guess that's if you subscribe to that stuff though too, right? But coming like from a Dust player or like somebody who's been who plays Eve and stuff, we can use those videos. I mean, you can use that intel as well, so it's going to change the dynamic of the game too.
Cool. And personally, I'm looking forward to the new Brawl, or not Brawl, Smash Brothers. Like I got some pretty big chills when the Mega Man trailer popped up on that. But
what about the Wii Fit chick? She's pretty cute. That was a joke. I know she's fake.
Although people have been cosplaying her as her.
Really?
Yes.
I'll have to look those up.
But yeah, the main reason, oh, to just get general thoughts on E3, there was some Dust stuff that wasn't like on stage or anything, but they did release a new trailer thing. It's not really a trailer, I don't...
Oh, yes.
And it was an alright trailer, I liked it. It had a higher frame rate than I've ever seen Dust have, but
no one's interested in that. What are they all interested in?
they're all interested in the new mods.
The numbers, yes. Yeah. It's those 2 seconds where there's a screen with actual information on it, and everyone's like, ooh, stats. Yeah.
So, I mean, why, Hans, why haven't we seen these numbers before this trailer?
That's an excellent question. The one that we are actively trying to find an answer to. But I mean, honestly, like that's a lot of what we're trying to do right now is get these kind of processes set up. You know, part of what we're articulating on the CPM2 guys like Frame and Wang, who may not be the best people to talk to. I don't know that they can necessarily change the way that the game is actually actively developed because they're just community people. But I mean, the more we, continue to just not leave alone the idea that there's just some fundamental communication that's got to be built in terms of how information is shared back and forth, and it's got to be sooner and more transparent. And I don't understand, just because I don't know this studio the way that I know the Reykjavik studio and the personnel there, I just don't know yet what the barrier is to getting these kinds of information sharing going. But to me, this is like, I'm half laughing about this because it is kind of a facepalming. Like, I don't understand why it should take a leak from a trailer. If the stuff has been talked about enough and to where there's items coded up and assets that have been built and things that exist in the code, like that's a substantial amount of work. And to me, if this were, on the EVE side of things, that information, all of those stats would have been on a linked forum thread, weeks ago before this kind of information would have come up. And so this is the kind of stuff that I want to see start happening in Dust, but it's, we're in completely foreign territory geographically and, in terms of what we know about how the Shanghai studio works and how quickly they open up to us. It's being built from the ground up. So I wish I had a great answer there, but it's out there now. And the worst part about it is that it's not just out there now, but it's a set of numbers that, whether or not they're the final numbers, I've been told that they're not, and that not necessarily to confirm that they've changed, but these are still things that are halfway through a production process, and so nobody should be taking them as gospel truth. But even still, seeing prototype ideas for modules that are kind of out of step with what the players have been talking about and what the balance discussions that are all over the forums about armor tanking versus shield taking, it's frustrating that they don't seem to be lining up with that angle either. So
yeah, there was a lot of whining about balance after this, which is kind of spectacular. Like, we don't even really know if these numbers are even finalized or anything like that, and people are already whining about them.
No, and I think it's inappropriate to throw a big fit about something like this where you don't know whether those are the final numbers are. Like, really, people, save the anger, save the outrage till it's all the way gone through the process and you've been saying something all the way and then it still turns out the other way. There's a time and a place for that, but in the middle, speculating on something that was seen for a second in a trailer isn't the best time to do it. But that being said, this is all fairly preventable. If you ask me, it's just a matter of the sort of top-down willpower and change of heart on the part of the designers to just get used to sharing their stuff at that scarier but earlier part of the development process where the feedback's the most critical, and just little bits of information early enough so that people have an idea of which direction you're going and you can make adjustments goes a long way towards sort of getting control of these conversations rather than just letting them explode spontaneously because of some snippet. And I think this is a symptom of the fact that the player base is kind of sitting around waiting for scraps from CCP's table when it comes to information. And the sooner CCP gets proactive about sharing stuff, like, you know, having designers talk about their own work in sticky threads rather than, you know, having to have the CPM link to CCP the top threads out of a pool of threads because it's an uncontrolled mess to begin with. So that's kind of my angle on all this, is I want to see more proactive, you know, upfront effort that I think can save them a lot of time and effort that they're putting it on the back end to sort of clean up the information mess after people have already exploded all over the place.
Fair enough. Any other thoughts, DS and VD?
The commando suit.
We could talk about the commando suit. I'm super interested to hear your thoughts on that.
Are we allowed to swear on the show?
Yeah, there's a mature language.
Fuck the commando suit. Come on.
It looks stupid. It looks like it's a pointless SP sync because there's, what is it, one high slot, two low slots, and then you have your two light weapons and your grenade, I think. Something like that. What really can you do?
Sidearm as well.
Is there?
I thought there was.
Well, you can carry two light weapons with it, right? So it's mostly for people who want it to be like snipers with the submachine guns, or you can hold two ARs, can't you?
Yeah, you can do any two.
Switch from a scrambler rifle to an assault rifle, or scrambler rifle and a mass driver.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of neat, but the
the
one and two slots is retarded.
Yeah. And I'm gonna be kind of ticked off because I'm still waiting on my racial variants. Because I mean, they're dropping a new suit in. Well, I'm assuming it's coming soon. They're dropping in a new style of suit, yet they don't have completed racial variants for the force. Well, what is it? Heavies and scouts yet, and everybody is playing with those suit types. So you know you got to do what's important first, and I don't think they're really doing that. It's kind of like they're just throwing a bunch of new stuff together without fixing or completing.
Well, that's the problem with new variants of suits, right? Like, you've got a bunch of racial suits now that all have the same bonus, you know?
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff, I would rather see some of the. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I would rather see some of the sort of nuts and bolts of the, you know, existing skills cleaned up first before a bunch of more added. But I mean, the answer is kind of yes to both and all and everything in between. I mean, that's the frustrating thing is, you know, it's hard to tell exactly what would sort of fix the overall problem the soonest, you know, more suits or fixed suits, you know?
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of that, did we ever hear anything more about the placeholder suits?
Placeholder suits, I think I haven't heard anything more from CCP. I mean, this has always been kind of a player movement, a player generated. I mean, the CPM, I think, I don't know how many threads were up before we put up a thread saying this is something that we're talk seriously with CCP about, but I don't know that it's going to happen necessarily. Like, I've never seen any traction on the CCP side towards embracing this idea. If they have and they've posted somewhere, then I've missed it. But you know, I know it's something that's very popular. It's something that a lot of players would love to have, but I think we're going to face an uphill battle when it comes to convincing them to release. Like, if they're this unwilling to to release information about stuff they're working on, especially what placeholder drop suits are asking them to do is to release unfinished assets into the game and into the game environment, and that brings with it a whole host of legal concerns, creative concerns, artistic concerns. Like, everyone's going to have an opinion about it, and I see that this is a pretty uphill battle in terms of convincing CCP to put half-finished stuff onto the server, especially when people are already upset with the finished stuff that's coming onto the server. I don't know. That's as much as I know about it. No, that's my point.
There's a bunch. Oh, well, we'll move on. There's a bunch more stuff that was in the trailer. Not just the commando suit. There was the different kinds of armor plates.
Yes.
So there was one which doesn't reduce movement speed, but only has, I think it was 60 health for the complex version.
Yeah, it's like a lighter weight plate. And then there's repping plates as well.
Yeah, those do have a movement penalty though.
Yep. They're kind of like a combination small plate repper, but they slow you down. It's kind of odd.
Well, DS, you play mostly armor based. Do you think you'll be using either of those?
Maybe the plate repair one, because I mean I've been playing a lot of AV, so I don't really come into contact with other people too much. I get up top and I take out dropships and tanks and stuff. So having a repper is like the greatest thing for me. Like, I don't have any plates on my fit right now, so having a plate slash repper combo kind of thing would probably do some good. I don't know what the repair rate is. I don't know if it would be totally beneficial, but I would at least tinker around with it. And as far as running like a HMG fit, I would probably be using those primarily on my HMGs, because I don't know. I don't think armor plates really give you too much, because it's so hard to get out of battle sometimes, just because of how slow and clunky you are. And reppers are kind of slow to kick up, and you have to get away again. So hopefully adding in the doing the combo with that would make it a little easier, have a little bit more survivability as a heavy. As far as other suits, I don't really know how people like to. I know a lot of people go shield heavy because it's like totally awesome. Hello. But yeah, that's that. I don't know. I would probably play around with it. Maybe get up to enhanced and see if I like the way they feel, and if I don't like it, then I would just kind of toss it to the side.
Yeah, I just asked Leoso to come on. He said he could, so... Hey Leoso, how's it going?
Hello.
Hi, Leoso.
Yeah, we're just talking about the
Hello.
stuff that was revealed in the Fight Your Own Way trailer. So the new modules and stuff like that. We just talked about the commando suit, and we were talking about the new reactive plates. Sorry, DS. Continue.
Oh, I'm finished. Sorry.
Okay. Well, do you have any thoughts on them, Leoso?
I could say a lot of things, but it's really all speculation at this point. I mean, in terms of the Pharaoh scale plate, I think that was one of them they mentioned, is having a alternative where you could still get some HP, but not have be weighed down by the armor plates. It seems like a good alternative to shield tanking to a certain degree, but it kind of narrows the gap at best.
Cool. And VD, thoughts on the new armor plates?
Well, I'm a scout, so I don't use them. It's not going to affect me at all. I think it's going to be interesting to see how people use them, though, I guess. Especially that light one without the movement damage, or the movement speed penalty.
So even as a scout, you don't see yourself using the... is it the Pharaoh scale, which doesn't have a movement penalty?
No. I mean, I like the way that my suits are set up, and I'm not using any armor right now.
Fair enough.
Maybe if I spec'd into something else, but even my second proto character is a Logi, so I don't really use it too much for that either.
I mean, you have to think about what you're getting out of those modules too. I mean, you have the smallest base HP to begin with, and so you're literally just getting the least bang for your buck by fitting extenders and armor plates onto scout suits. I think you might be better off with profile dampening.
Right? If they gave me an extra slot, I might think about it, but even then, I might not.
Fair enough.
I might use the light plates, the non-speed ones, on a heavy fit, but I don't really fit, like, I don't do a lot of expensive proto suits, so Most of the time, I'm using a repper and a catalytic biotics in the low, the one that makes me run faster. So I'm pretty much trying to do the opposite of slow myself down all the time, but that's just the way I fit, man.
I could see it coming in handy with the commando suit, just since you're kind of in the front lines, got to be moving a lot. But if you wanted to tank armor, I don't know.
Well, you only have 2 slots to play with, so you better be careful.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
I'll drink to that.
Well played.
I still think the missing component here is more something on the shield end. Like there needs to be some kind of penalty for all the stacking extenders. I mean, in Eve, that's extra signature radius. So here, the dust equivalent would be like a larger hitbox, which could be, either really broken or really awesome, depending on how subtle that adjustment was. But it's actually been a fun trade-off in Eve combat, the fact that you can either have more hit points but be harder to hit versus having larger hit points and being easier to hit. And I would be super curious as to how that plays out in a shooter. I think it's something they should look into, or some kind of, maybe it's a sensor penalty. Sensors have always kind of been this mysterious thing as to whether they work or not and how they work.
Do you see a lot of people using the commando suit? Because to be honest with you, I don't really see a lot of people using it.
Well, it's not released yet.
Well, no, I know, of course.
I don't understand like what the sort of like role that it's trying to fill is filling, because I mean you've got
Is it
people
like
that
frontline heavies? I don't know.
Basically, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the commando is going to be like the infantry, well, supposedly the infantry heavy, and then the regular heavy suits or sentinels are going to be more the defensive / AV role.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how I would play it. If I had to, go ahead.
Well, it's just odd because like heavies can go down pretty quick with spec'd up weapons. So it's odd to me to make that to like, because I know the commando is supposed to be like slightly less hit points than a normal heavy. So how many hit points can you shave off from a heavy before it's just a really well tanked assault suit?
Right.
Maybe it's
So it's gonna be
on different weapon systems, like you have a mass driver in one slot and an assault rifle in the other. Kind of gives you a bit
I think
more
that'll be the
options.
novelty of it, and how people will find the most use out of it will be out of the dual weapons thing. But
The lack of slots is just what's crazy. I don't know what state or what level the suit was in the video. I don't know if anybody
It was
knows.
proto, I thought.
Was it a
Wasn't it
proto?
AKO? Was it a
Oh,
Mar?
yeah, that's a proto. Yeah. I don't understand how the basic suit's going to be. Is it just going to be like 1-in-1, and then
I don't know.
advanced 1-in-1?
I have a
Like,
feeling
I don't
that
know
That's
how they're going to do that.
that's
How much
something's
different is it going to
get
be than
changed.
like an assault, like an Amar assault suit tank? Do you know, like is it going to have less or more hit points than that? Like I didn't see the specs really closely, so that's my bad. But
well, again, it's so hard to tell because honestly, some of these trailers that are made, I mean, you think about it, like how many times have we seen like a laser raven shooting something in an EVAD
or the laser tanks, yeah.
or like the background on the PlayStation thing when you highlight dust and it's like an Amar heavy suit with like holding a shotgun or something on a hillside. Like it's something you would never see, right?
The nubs.
And so
It just looks cool.
yeah, so I mean, some of these trailers, there's literally no way to know what they were doing when somebody came and like snapped a shot and put it in a video. Like the art people and the marketing people just sort of grab material and make these trailers sometimes, and there really is a strong possibility that what we see in the end could be markedly different than what was in the trailer, but who knows?
Yeah, I have a feeling like things like slot layouts are sort of up in the air, and that they might have not have actually finished putting that level in before they actually revealed them. So
Well, and if not, then here's a great opportunity to go and make all those changes, and then pretend like it was planned that way all along. Which is exactly what I would do if I were a developer right now. You know, if it was like, oh shit, they hate this stuff. Let's fix it quick, guys. You know, I don't care
Only
whether
there's
they.
if it was only a player organization that voiced the opinions of the players, some sort of
I know.
council or something.
We could call it the CPM.
Yep.
And there was one more thing that was revealed on the trailer that I want to mention is the combat rifle, which I know absolutely nothing about other than it will probably have a bonus to armor. Or against armor, I should say. What are people's thoughts on the combat?
It'll be what you pair with the scrambler rifle for your, you know, dual light weapon commando.
I don't want to see that.
It's gonna happen.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I think with. I'm sorry. I'm going back to the commando suit. But with the two light weapons, or your little hybrid thing that you can do with it, with having your scrambler and your just regular assault rifle, if you want, having not as many slots kind of balances it, because if you have both of those types of weapons, you're going to be dropping people quick. I mean, as fast as you can switch your weapons, you're going to be taking people down. So, I mean, they kind of had to do something to weaken them. So I can kind of see where they're, why there wouldn't be as many slots. Because, I mean, if I had, almost 1,000 HP with a scrambler rifle and an assault rifle, I don't know how many times I would die. It would probably be a really, really low number, just because of how effective you are against every suit, because of the two different types of weapons.
That's far too reasonable a response. How dare you be rational about this?
What's rationality?
Oh wow!
I need to go back to the forums and get rid of that.
Be matter. Embrace the rage. You're furious about commando suits.
Yeah, I don't like them. I think they're stupid and useless. But
what I know is they're not going to make my Sentinel bonus any more interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still waiting for a reason to put points into that.
Oh, I haven't.
Yeah,
I have no points in Sentinel. There's no point.
I don't even like the slot layouts of the Sentinel suits.
Yeah, they're pretty doo-doo.
I'd rather have two complex heavy mods. So
that's why I stick with my frame, so I can smack some tanks. But anyways,
I think the combat rifle is probably going to replace the burst rifle.
People use the burst rifle?
I do.
Oh wow! I think
I was about to ask the same thing. I don't think I've ever been killed by one in the last month.
The day
I
after,
haven't noticed.
The TAC AR nerf, I saw my first burst rifle. I think of the whole time. Well, maybe not the whole time, but at least for like a month and a half back. Like it was kind of weird to see Allotech burst rifle on my kill screen or kill feed.
It's probably someone that never used a burst rifle before and only did it because he heard that there was panic over the TAC rifle being doomed, and he just jumped ship before he even knew what he was doing. He probably saved his respec and dumped all his points out of TACs and into something else, or just is experimenting.
Well, it's the same skill.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's probably going to.
That there's people out there that have changed all their stuff based on panic, though, and that's
a fair. Yeah.
I know a bunch of heavies that did it.
Oh.
That's basically what the metagame is made of.
Oh yeah.
I really hope they don't remove those stucker grenades now, because I just spent 2 weeks grinding skill points to put into grenades to get them. Takes forever to get grenades 5.
No, grenades 5 is a good thing to have regardless.
Yeah, actually, because you get access to Flux and AV, and do people actually use the better Locust grenades? I sometimes see them.
Nice shot.
Nah, I threw it at my dog, so he'd stop barking.
I think I've seen the advanced version a few times, but it was very seldom.
It's still odd to me that you just get these in a Orem pack and then you have to like skill into them otherwise. It's still something not right there.
Yeah, it's like 1.5 million skill points you need to get them as well.
Oh, good lord.
There's a reason that there's no like proto giveaways as far as gear in the rest of the lineups in the Orem packs. So that's like the one thing that sticks out like a sore thumb are those damn grenades.
It bugs me about the suits too. Like I have all the blueprint suits that were for sale throughout the beta and stuff, and I can't use any of them unless I skill into them, and I don't want to.
Yeah. Save them for when we can trade shit finally.
Yeah.
Then you can.
Lord willing.
Then there'll be a commodity market for that stuff for a little while.
One can hope.
But it'll come. I know it's being worked on. So.
Okay, well, shall we move on to the blog post you did about the CPM and just general talk about CPM as well?
Sure.
So
I mean, I've covered a lot of this stuff, you know, throughout the other subject material here. Do you have specific questions about it?
No, I was just wanting like an overview and how the CPM has been going in general.
Gotcha. Well, so I started that blog post, and I'm going to mirror it in the forums as well. You know, just to sort of it's going to be a longer version of. I'm going to put out the other one tonight of what'll be a weekly shorter sort of rundown of what we've been up to. And you know, the main point I'm trying to get across to people is that this is just an evolving process that's going to take some time, and even going faster than it took for the CSM to develop, it's still not going to develop as fast as people expect us to be able to do all sorts of things that we're not able to do. And so I think it's important for everyone to know the sort of scope of who we talk to within CCP, you know, how often we talk to them, sort of what structure has been set up or what structure hasn't been set up yet, just so that everyone's kind of armed with something that when they bring their feedback to us, you know, they know what we're able to do with it. So there's always going to be a need for us to sort of be in contact with people about, you know, knowing what's broken about the game and what's not. So there's never a reason not to share information with us, especially on the bug reporting end. But in terms of like, you know, the kind of relationships that we all wish we had, where we could just hit up any of the developers involved with design or balancing and say, hey, can we get this tweaked or we get this fixed? Like, that's a whole level of relationships that have not yet been established. And there's been a few designers that have been really, really helpful, especially the ones on True Grit who work in Iceland that are the most vocal and hanging out in our Skype chats. And so, you know, and you see it on the forums too, with them posting threads about stuff that they're working on. And that's the kind of relationship that we hope to establish, you know, with the designers in the Shanghai studio as well, that are working on all the stuff like drop suits and guns and vehicles that and hit detection and that sort of thing that we care about the most. So it's going to take time. It's going to take buy-in from CCP's upper management. Brandon's been supportive, you know, verbally in the meetings that we've had with him, in terms of wanting to set us up with information and set us up with access and set us up with a chance to have these conversations. And so that's something that we can obviously follow through with in the weeks ahead and sort of and hammer these things out one by one and make sure that they're delivered and set up. And getting the access to the community management report was step one. This is something that I was talking about during the roundtables and stuff at FanFest when they announced that they did this community management report, this sort of canvassing survey of all the forum activity and what's going on in YouTube videos and that sort of stuff. that gets done once a week and reported to the developers. Once I heard that this document was being made, that was like my question right away, was when can we get access to this? So it's taken a few weeks to sort of jump through the hoops and get the permissions and get everyone on board comfortable sharing that, but they have, and so this last week was our first, real sit down with an up-to-date community management report and actually reading all of what CCP compiles out of all the stuff that happens on the forums, and it's quite impressive. They do manage to they pulled together 23 pages of material of neatly organized. These are the threads that are on fire. This is what's positive. This is what's not positive. And included a whole bunch of player quotes. The stuff that they thought was useful and relevant and helpful and respectful. Just a whole cross section of what goes on, and then there was also stuff from outside of the forums too, some video links and other resources and other sort of community material that made it into that report as well. So this was super interesting to sort of see that there's this myth out there that CCP doesn't pay any attention and doesn't care what's going on, and obviously that's not true, because they're paying several people to sit down and compile 23 pages of community material a week. That's not a small feat. And so the next, for us on the CPM, we're also plugged into the community in that same sort of way. So for us, a lot of that material kind of feels redundant almost. We already know that those are the important threads. We already know that this is how the players feel. There's some things there that we need to speak up about, well, this is perhaps more important than you guys made it sound in the report, or maybe this isn't as important as you guys made it sound in the report. But beyond that, most of the stuff is pretty widely agreed upon things that are on fire about the game. And so for us, it kind of set up, this is what I'll be talking about in the post today. For us, it really brings just the next set of questions. All right, now we got all this information that we already knew was good information, and we all know that the developers are seeing it. So now it just begs the question: well, what happens next? Where does this hit the developers? Does it hit them while they're already working on a feature? Does it happen? Is this what sets what features they work on? Where in their process does this hit, and how? That's the next puzzle piece to figure out, because ultimately what we're working towards is finding out where to insert the CPM itself into the development process, so that, like the CSM has established the stakeholders, to where we can have conversations about these things well in advance of final decisions that are made on them. But it's a lofty goal. It's going to take some time and a lot of hard work and a lot of diplomacy on our part. But it is going forward step by step, and that's what this blog series will be about, is keeping track of all that for you guys.
Okay, well, I have one question, one quick point to make. When you said Brandon, who is that at CCP?
Oh, my apologies. That's Brandon Lorino, so he would be CCP Gian, the executive producer.
Okay, and the other one was there was a certain post made by Iron Wolf Saber, which you brought up the point of CCP doesn't listen, and I think it got deleted, but you can still get it on Dust Search because Cribber likes to save everything. And he basically said CCP doesn't listen. Although that has been deleted, but...
Well, I mean... I think...
Do you disagree with that?
I would disagree. I mean, obviously, like I said, they're doing something. They're producing... volumes of material of your work and presenting it in meetings and having conversations about that. Now, I think all of us get emotional at times if something doesn't turn out the way that we wanted them to, or the way that to us it seems obvious that it should have, and that certainly feels like they're not listening. And that's not always the case. It depends on. There's a lot of times when opinions are heard and disagreed with, and there's a perfectly reasonable design or programming restriction why something can't turn out the way it is. The missing component right now is that we don't have that sort of back and forth open dialogue with a whole ton of designers and programmers in Skype, all socializing the way that it's happened and built over the last couple of years with the Reykjavik studio. So, like, I don't fault any one of the rest of the CPM members for getting frustrated at times or expressing that frustration or saying it doesn't feel like they're listening to us. Like, that's going to happen. Does that, like, should that be taken literally? Like, as in CCP has a policy of not giving a shit about player opinions? Like, no, that's absurd. So, I mean, you know, all of us are going to have, you know, you're going to have to be careful about taking things too literally, I would guess would be my response to that. Because, no, I don't think there's evidence that they're not paying any attention at all. I think there's obviously evidence that there's communication procedures that need to be set up, but those are two different situations. And thankfully, it's the latter of the two, the one that we can remedy.
Okay, it's me for questions, really. Does anyone else have any thoughts?
Anything at all. It could be. Give me something more scandalous than that.
Okay, you asked for it with that last remark. You probably can't talk.
Is this about Nova Knife? No.
No. It's about a deleted post from Iron Wolf Saber about the restructuring of the Shanghai. Well, I assume it was the Shanghai server.
Sure. So, I mean, they've got open job applications right now for hiring more staff. They've obviously just hired a new, and announced at least one new community person, especially because there's been ads open for a while. Some of those ads are for multiple positions. In other words, they'll keep a position open while they hire people for that position. And so it's like, I can say that much, that the Dust Studio is growing and the community team is growing. And they're obviously changing the way that they work, because now they're sharing information outside of what they're doing that they hadn't used to. Like the very fact that they have a CPM and that they're bringing us into the process is a change for them. So, I mean, again, like, especially with Iron Wolf, like, taking little juicy sounding tidbits and then going rampant with it, something I really, really caution against, because are things changing? Absolutely. Like, is there some like massive shakeup? People are getting fired in Karna, like, no. I haven't seen any evidence of that. So there was a lot made about that comment, and I think that's why he goes back and deletes these comments, is he gets self-conscious about the fact that something he said got taken not how he intended it, and that's something I think you'll see more often with Iron Wolf than with the other 5, but that's because we all have different strengths and different weaknesses. So
this is going to be a very disappointed Dust Rider in the Matani.com chat room.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So I guess people just shouldn't pay attention to Iron Wolf.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm just saying to take it all with a grain of salt, and just, if he says something that like raises all the hairs on the back, just ask, like, we'll tell you as much as we can. So, and if something was like crazy, insane stuff burning to the ground, I would like to think that we would tell you guys. So.
Cool. I guess we'll just move on to the last topic in the news, which is, I didn't really bring this up as like a full topic last week, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because there's actually been some more stuff that I learned about this since then, and that was the DDoS that happened, I think it's, 2 weeks ago now, roughly?
It was like the weekend before Odyssey launched.
Yeah, and
It's been a few server hits.
Yeah, but I mean, the big one was 2 weeks ago. There was one, I actually don't know if it's still happening right now, but there was one as we started recording. And yeah, I mean, the servers went down for most of the evening, I think. It was about 10 hours, something like that.
It wasn't just a Tranquility, wasn't it a few other online games or services as well?
Yeah, I mean...
Or was it just Eve?
I was looking at Eve Offline, which is also maintained by Kribba. Thank you, Kribba. And I think everything Eve related was down. So Dust was down, Tranquility was down, Singularity was down.
Yeah, it looked like CCP took everything offline. They cut off their servers from the outside world, essentially. Like, even the websites were down.
And at first, it was just, oh, it's a DDoS, they'll recover and all that stuff. But I was listening to Crossing Zebras, which is a really good Eve podcast hosted by a guy over in Glasgow, actually. So us Scottish people really like doing Eve content. But I think it was Two Step was on, and he was saying that it was actually a bit more of a big deal than that. The server code got leaked or something like that. So some people got a hold of the code on the server side and managed to get loads of information out of it, and that's actually a really bad thing. If there are any programmers listening, they'll probably be going, oh shit, like that shouldn't have happened. So I just wanted to bring up that it was a bit of a bigger deal, and that's probably why they had to come in for something like 10 hours overnight and pull an all-nighter to get it fixed. And yeah, there's been problems since then. I mean, there was one today, and I know there's been at least one more between like the actual first one and the one that happened today. I don't know if there was two since then.
Yeah, there's a little one.
Yeah, I mean, the Dust server is down right now.
Alright. So, yeah, I really hope that CCP get it fixed, and like, I'd love to know, Hans, do you know any more about this?
No, but I'm asking about it now. This is the first I'd heard about it, was our conversation right before the show started about this specific thing about the like source code or whatever leaking. So I'm asking in a few channels right now. I don't know whether I'll
I believe it was
get a response back right away or not. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if you have. Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to ask if anyone else had any thoughts. So.
Oh, okay. I don't know if y'all saw, but they are, like, I guess, reimbursing a day of active boosters for people who had the active booster on, since you kind of lost out a day of your booster. So, I mean, I guess that's okay. I know Eve, I think they got, what, 50,000 SP added?
Yeah.
But I think the active booster thing's fine, because, I mean, we're free to play on Dust. So the people who didn't get to play, that didn't have a booster, you didn't lose anything. You just didn't get to play. So I'm glad they're adding a day to active boosters, because I had one running and it kind of sucked. So now I have like, I think, a week left. So at least they did that. And there's a lot of people that are pissed off. They're like, oh, Eve got this. They don't realize, Eve people pay for, their time that they play. We don't pay for anything except for our boosters. So
here's a pro tip. When CCP is giving you something, it is the worst time in the world to throw a tantrum about it. Like, if you want to look like a child, like more than anyone, that is the perfect time to dump down your rage thread, is when they're giving you something for free that they didn't have to give,
I mean, I would expect them to give me, the day of the active booster, because when I bought the booster, it was a 30-day booster.
Yeah,
and I should be able to play on all those 30 days. And since it went down for a whole day, yeah, you should add another day on there.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But, with the regular gameplay, you can't complain about a free-to-play game. I don't know. People on the forums just like to complain just for the sake of complaining. I don't know. They just seem unhappy.
I had
with
just
themselves.
bought an Elite pack, so the extra day was kind of like, I've already got 60 now. But
yeah. Actually, that reminds me, I remember when it did go down. It went down just before downtime for the the cap reset, and I was just about to hit the cap when it went down. I think I was like 15,000 SP away from it. So it's like me not hit cap in about a month now, I think. I was just about to break it. Oh well. One day I'll hit. Oh, one day I'll hit the SP cap again. I'm actually 47 SP away from it right now. I should probably just log on and play a game. Although I actually can't right now. So.
Yeah, I usually get my cap right as the other one is about to reset. I barely get through mine each week.
I'm actually gonna do a blog about. I've actually just started AFKing because I'm like really busy at the moment, and I don't.
Well, I
want
to look into this. Apparently, when they brought this up before, when they first talked about going to a weekly cap, there was talk about in the long run they wanted to have basically like rollover, where if you don't hit your cap one week, you can have a higher cap the next week, and it's been kind of a thing that's been talked about and that CCP said they were interested in, but there hasn't been any like recent word about where that sort of ended up. So that's one of the things I'm looking into to find out if that was still something they were thinking about doing, because that would be super cool for people that don't hit their cap in a week to still be able to catch up, another week.
I think that might hurt the amount of people that are playing, because I know that there's some people that only play to hit their cap and then they're done. So if they don't have to, they're not going to play, and then they're just going to cram session, for a week or so to get back that SP that they haven't earned yet. And they'd be on for those 7 days, but the 21 days before that they weren't on at all. So I think it kind of goes both ways. It would help. It would help.
Part of that.
Yeah.
Part of that is CCP's got to get some more enticing, either stuff like rewards and the better rewards into faction warfare, so it becomes kind of a premier but competitive place to grind, for money, or even just making planetary conquest more interesting or expanding it, or making it more meaningful to put both parties involved. Like, there's got to be something other than a skill cap grind that's got to capture people's attention about this game, and it's got to happen sooner than later. Like, there's going to have to be a reason to log in other than to get your skill points. If that's the level of interest that it's holding people, that it's screwed in the long run. And it'll get there. It's just a question of how soon.
How much of the player base is left, basically.
Yeah. But there isn't like a noticeable like statistical drop off. It's too early, I think, to do the like dust is dying sort of melodrama, just from looking at PCU count curves and stuff. So, and that kind of rhetoric won't work with CCP until there's something glaringly obvious anyways. So,
I do think time is of the essence, though.
Yeah. Oh, certainly. Yeah, that's what we were talking about at the beginning of the show when we were talking about E3, and I think that's what E3 is going to do more than what I hope it does more than anything is I hope it energizes CCP, and it's like a shot of coffee, and okay, we got to get to work, we got to get this stuff finished, we got to find our role in this sort of scheme of all the games that are out on the market that are going to be competing for people's attention. So I think that competition can be healthy, and if it's embraced that way, hopefully it will.
Yeah. Oh, actually, they did. Oh, sorry. I was
did
just
it again.
I was just going to say that they mentioned they're actually going to start moving to monthly updates. That was something that actually came out at E3, which I forgot to mention.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see.
Well, again, whoever
that.
was asking about, Leosa was asking about, restructuring. I mean, these are the kinds of, piece by piece, little by little, you can see things that are changing about the way that they're working. So, I mean, I don't think restructure was necessarily an inappropriate word for Iron Wolf to use. It's just that,
it's a buzzword.
It's a buzzword, and it got taken that way, and he got self-conscious about it and deleted the comments. So, I mean, which probably made it a little worse, because now people are like, oh my god, he's covering something up, and then it did, like, adds more layers to the tinfoil hat. So, but is stuff changing? Sure. Is there like this concrete, big, like, elephant thing that we're all sitting on and hiding? No.
Okay, well, we've been going for about an hour on the news, so I'm just going to say, any last thoughts on anything like DDoS related before we move on?
Don't let it happen again.
It's kind of it's like talking about hurricanes or tornadoes. Like you can't really do much about it when they hit. You know, you just got to weather it out.
Oh yeah.
Maybe CCP should reach out to Anonymous and have them sort of retaliatory pact.
Private contractors, yeah, Pam and Plex or something.
I'm sure there's quite a few anonymous people that are Eve players.
Okay, well, that's us for the news then. We'll be right back with Planetary Conquest discussion.